रघुनाथ गोस्वामी दास के बारे में पढ़ रहे थे। ऑलमोस्ट आई थिंक वी हैव कवर्ड हाफ। या लास्ट हमने क्या पढ़ देखा था? हाँ, कि वो निकल गए थे, भाग गए थे घर से जंगल के रास्ते, और उनके पेरेंट्स उनको खोजने का ट्राई किया बट वो मिले नहीं। एंड देन सोच रहे पूरी भेजे क्या उनको खोजने के लिए, बट वो सोच रहे थे कि उनको पता नहीं क्या हुआ, चोट लग गया, क्या हुआ जंगल में, मतलब ऑब्वियसली उनको तो पता है नहीं। तो दे वर वरीड। ओके। तो हम्म, ठीक है, तो आगे देखते हैं क्या होगा। हम्म, आप लोगों से कोई फर्स्ट टाइम तो नहीं है ना? अच्छा, आई कैन सी वन नेम। कुछ नहीं। तो ये हम लोग 6 गोस्वामीज के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, जो चैतन्य महाप्रभु के इमीडिएट डिसाइपल्स थे। तो हम लोग अभी ये जो रघुनाथ दास से स्टार्ट किया वो पहले ही है। तो एनीवे कल हमने थोड़ा बहुत उनकी स्टोरी देखी थी, कितने एक्चुअली वो बचपन से ही वो काफी रिनाउंस थे। काफी क्या, बचपन से ही पूरे रिनाउंस थे। और उनको बचपन से ही उनको आ, क्या नाम था उनके गुरु का, जिनके पास वो पढ़ने जाते थे, किसको याद है? पूरी उम्र। हरे कृष्णा। मेरी आवाज तो आ रही है ना?
यस प्रभु।
क्या नाम था उनका, किसको याद है? किसी को याद नहीं है? बलराम आचार्य, जो कि हरिदास ठाकुर के डिसाइपल थे। तो उनको बचपन से ही और उनके थ्रू उनको हरिदास ठाकुर के पास भी उनके पास भी उनका भी एसोसिएशन बेसिकली मिला। और फिर हाँ, हाँ, और हमने देखा कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु से कैसे मिले थे वो। और फिर तब देखा था स्टोरी, एनीवे मतलब लंबा हो जाएगा, सो एनीवे विल कंटिन्यू। यहाँ पे वो हाँ, उन सिंस वो बहुत रिनाउंस थे, उनकी शादी वगैरह करा दी गई थी कि वो घर में मतलब वो थोड़ा सा उनको बांध के रखा जाए। बट वो शादी भी कराने के बाद भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा। उल्टा वो जब दोबारा मिले थे, जब चैतन्य महाप्रभु से नित्यानंद प्रभु से दोबारा जब सेकंड टाइम मिले, तो उनका जो वो इनिशिएशन वाला जो एटीट्यूड है वो और बढ़ गया था इनफैक्ट। और वो अभी अभी वो एक्टिंग भी नहीं कर सकते थे कि घर में रहने का। तो इस बार वो नित्यानंद प्रभु के मर्सी से और वैष्णव के मर्सी से उन्होंने क्या बोलते हैं, सेकंड टाइम वो अभी भागने में सफल हुए। ओके, तो विल कंटिन्यू हियर। So meanwhile, Raghunath Das had left a barn in which he had spent the night and proceeded to travel for 12 days before finally arriving in Puri. वो जंगल के थ्रू जा रहे हैं और 12 काफी टाइम लगा उनको पूरी पहुंचने में। It is said that due to scarcity of food in the jungle and his fixed meditation on the Lord, Raghunath Das only managed to eat 3 meals in those 12 days. आगे और हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह से इनका जो लेवल था डिनंसिएशन का, वो कितना हाई लेवल का था। यहाँ पे वो 12 दिन में बस 3 दिन, 3 टाइम एक्चुअली, 3 दिन में नहीं, 3 meals in 12 days. This instilled in him the sense of austerity for which he would later become famous. Hmm. As one biographer writes, the body fasted, but the spirit feasted on the joy of the prospect of meeting the Master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तो यहाँ पे इंटरेस्टिंग है, इसके पहले यहाँ पे इनका ऐसा है सच ये जो ऑस्टेरिटी है, यहाँ इस इंसिडेंट के पहले इतना प्रोमिनेंट नहीं दिखाया गया, बट ये जो 12 दिन जंगल में गए, 12 दिन जो ये जंगल में थे, जंगल के थ्रू ये पूरी पहुंचे, उसमें ये 3 टाइम इनको फूड मिला, 3 टाइम ही मील लिया इन्होंने। तो इस कारण से इनके अंदर वो सेंस ऑफ ऑस्टेरिटी डेवलप हुआ। एंड हाँ, बॉडी फास्टेड बट स्पिरिट फीस्टेड ऑन द जॉय ऑफ द प्रोस्पेक्ट ऑफ मीटिंग द मास्टर श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु। हाँ, ओके, सो कल भी किसी ने भेजा था, हाँ, दास नारायण प्रभु ने भेजा था एक पोस्ट कि हरिदास ठाकुर बोल रहे हैं अपने डेवोटीज से कि सनातन गोस्वामी का जो अपीयरेंस डे है, अपीयरेंस डे या डिसअपीयरेंस डे, आई थिंक अपीयरेंस डे में भी, तो वी शुड फीस्ट टुडे। तो बाकी लोग ने बोला हाँ हाँ जरूर करते हैं। मैंने सेड यहाँ जपमाला है सबके पास, इस पे भी जितना ज्यादा नाम ले सकते हैं हम नाम, यही फीस्ट। तो यहाँ पे इनका भी वैसा ही आ रहा है, ये रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी का कि बॉडी फास्टेड बट द स्पिरिट फीस्टेड ऑन द जॉय ऑफ द prospect of meeting the master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is the real feast. Finally arriving in Puri, Raghunath Das approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was sitting with his intimate devotees, headed by Sri Swarupa Damodar. Swarup Damodar is another important character, जो कि उनके personal secretary थे. When Sri Chaitanya saw Raghunath Das, he immediately asked him to come closer, just as Nityanand Prabhu had done. But before the words had even emanated from his mouth, Raghunath Das clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya in a mood of spiritual love. With this, Sri Chaitanya stood up and embraced Raghunath Das out of his causeless mercy. Then Sri Chaitanya turned to his able servant Sri Swarup Damodar and said, "My dear Swarup, I entrust this Raghunath Das to you. Please accept him as your son or servant. From this day forward, this Raghunath should be known as the Raghu of Swarup Damodar." तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने उनको स्वरूप दामोदर के केयर में रख दिया. So as Swarup Damodar's servant, he was considered the assistant secretary to Sri Chaitanya. Swarup was the secretary. Thus fully accepting Raghunath Das into his fold, Sri Chaitanya blessed him and showed him special mercy. So it's not कि कोई भी जाके चला जाएगा and चैतन्य महाप्रभु तुरंत से accept कर लेंगे. So Raghunath Das was special. And we also saw कि किस तरह से नित्यानंद प्रभु ने भी उनको वो दंड महोत्सव का लम्बे पड़ा था, इस तरह से चेस्टाइज किया, चेस्टाइज नहीं किया था इनफैक्ट, जस्ट जोकिंगली, बट स्टिल टू टीच ही सेड कि बिना, द पॉइंट इज कमिंग दैट बिना नित्यानंद प्रभु के मर्सी के they cannot get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to us. So all the devotees, struck with wonder, praised Raghunath Das Goswami's good fortune. So see, so many devotees are there, but यहाँ पे इस तरह का स्पेशल अटेंशन किसी और को नहीं मिला था. Under the care of Sri Swarupa Damodar, Raghunath Das daily received the coveted remnants of Sri Chaitanya's food, and he lovingly relished them with full transcendental delight. So it's not that it's partiality, it's that one has to deserve जो भी भगवान की जो कृपा है, वो तो सबके है obviously, लेकिन you have to deserve also some special status. So under the care of Sri Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das daily received the coveted remnants of Sri Chaitanya's food, and he lovingly relished them with full transcendental delight. Having been touched by God, this food was spiritually potent, and thus it brought Raghunath Das to even greater heights of spiritual ecstasy. So, getting remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is obviously is of you can say monumental importance. It's very potent. That's and he was daily receiving that. So for 5 days he accepted these remnants, but on the sixth day he stopped, feeling unworthy, and he began to beg alms while standing in the main gate of the Jagannath temple. Huh. So we can see कि क्या मूड था रघुनाथ दास ने लिया प्रसाद मिला इनको जगन्नाथ और देन he is stopping that कि नहीं मुझे अभी नहीं लेना because he was feeling unworthy and he was begging at the main gate of Jagannath temple. When asked why he preferred the simple morsels of food from the Jagannath temple to the nicely prepared remnants of Sri Chaitanya, he replied, "For me, this food was too opulent. My spiritual vision becomes blurred by such indulgence. Mhm. Therefore, I prefer to take a few humble grains just to keep body and soul together." Sri Chaitanya was pleased with Raghunath Das' sense of austerity and openly praised him for it. तो अभी ऑब्वियसली हम रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी को इमिटेट तो नहीं कर सकते बट ही बेसिकली शोड कि द- कि जो उनका जो हम्म, नाम के प्रति रुचि थी भगवान के प्रति जो रुचि थी वो कितना स्ट्रांग था दैट इज टू बी लर्न तो इसके लिए उनको ये जो एक्सटर्नल चीजें वो सब उनको उनके लिए मैटर नहीं कर रहा तो ही और उनको ये भी बोला जाता है रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी को कि वो प्रयोजन आचार्य है तो तो ही काइंड ऑफ एस्टैब्लिश कि हमारा जो गोल है वो किस तरह का मतलब भगवान जो है वो गोल है उनके प्रति जो लव है वो गोल है उसकी तो वो कितना प्रोमिनेंट वो दिखाते हैं तो इट्स नॉट दैट कि one can imitate his standard of pronunciation but yeah one can learn from his activities कि किस तरह से he was renounced. So yeah, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ने praise किया उनके austerity को and openly praised him for it. So his humility too was pleasing to Sri Chaitanya, although at times it reached controversial proportions. For instance, Raghunath Das felt himself so fallen that for a few years he would not directly approach Sri Chaitanya. This is उनको उनके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी है उनको प्रोविजन मिला हुआ है फैसिलिटी है कि वो चैतन्य महाप्रभु के असिस्टेंट सेक्रेटरी हैं मिल सकते हैं लेकिन फिर भी वो मिल नहीं रहे हैं for a few years and he was feeling himself so fallen. So this is something. So rather he would convey his ideas whenever necessary to the agency of Govinda, the Chaitanya's servant, or through his master Swarup Damodar. However, he gradually felt the need to approach Sri Chaitanya directly, and he asked Swarup Damodar's permission to do so. Upon hearing of Raghunath's request, Sri Chaitanya called Raghunath Das into his room and spoke to him as follows. Swarup Damodar can instruct you better than I. Nonetheless, if you wish to hear from me, you may ascertain your duties from my following statement. तो ये इंस्ट्रक्शन उन्होंने दिया चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने उनको Do not talk like materialistic people or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you unnecessarily dress according to fashion. Bhala na khaibe, bhala na paribe. I even forgot this. Anyway, the point is that one should not talk like materialistic people or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you unnecessarily dress according to fashion. Do not expect honor, amani na manade, but offer all respect to others. Always chant the holy name of Lord Krishna, and within your mind render service to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. These are my instruction in a nutshell. Sri Swarup Damodar will give you specifics and details. In this way, Sri Chaitanya encouraged Raghunath Das in his mood of asceticism and his surrender to Swarup Damodar. Do not talk like materialistic people or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you unnecessarily dress according to fashion. बहुत ही ऑस्टेरिटी हो गया है बहुत ज्यादा. Do not expect honor, but offer all respect to others. Always chant the holy name of Lord Krishna and within your mind render service to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So we all can remember this instruction. I'm just thinking कि uh, especially for women, mm, how much this statement is. Nor should you unnecessarily dress according to fashion. I mean, they are somehow men तो फिर भी थोड़े डिटैच होते हैं, but women are naturally they are attracted for. Uh, but anyway, important is that we should develop love for Krishna. Then ये so ठीक है. As the pleasant summer months ushered in, it was again time for the Rath Yatra festival. Devotees came from all over Bengal, and Raghunath Das was in great bliss meeting these intimate associates of the Lord. Among the devotees to arrive was Shivananda Sen, who told Raghunath Das about the 10 guards that were sent by his father. अभी रथ यात्रा में ये लोग सब डिवोटीज असेंबल होते थे, तो यहाँ पे जो वो शिवानंद सेन जो जिसका आया था कुछ लास्ट कल हमने पढ़ा था कि वो काइंड ऑफ वो ले जाते थे डिवोटीज को पूरी में. तो उनसे पूछा था उनके पेरेंट्स ने, उनके गार्ड को भिजवा के कि यहाँ आया है क्या, तो उन्होंने बोला था कि नहीं, यहाँ रघुनाथ दास तो नहीं आया है. तो ये अभिषेक सेन जो है इनको बता रहे रघुनाथ दास को, तुम्हारे पिता ने जो भी भेजा था गार्ड्स. Raghunath Das felt for his grieving relatives but was convinced of his resolve. Obviously devotee है तो इसलिए इनको ऐसा नहीं है कि he has no थोड़ा भी कुछ भी बुरा नहीं लग रहा है फैमिली के बारे में, थोड़ा इनको ऑब्वियसली कंसर्न है, बट वो रिजॉल्व उनका स्ट्रांग था कि नहीं वो चेतन महाप्रभु के पास, मतलब वो सब वापस उधर नहीं जाना है. नॉट वांटिंग टू रिटर्न होम ही आस्क्ड Shivananda to console his parents upon his return to Bengal, their mutual home. After 4 months, Shivananda and the other devotees made their way back. Hearing of their return to Bengal, Govardhan sent out one of his men to inquire about Raghunath Das. Did you meet Raghunath at Jagannath Puri? Asked Govardhan's messenger. Was he there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Shivananda Sen replied, yes. Raghunath Das is an intimate servitor of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in this He has achieved great fame. Everyone knows him. He was put under the charge of Swarup Damodar and he chants the holy name of Krishna day and night. He has become the life of all the devotees. So शिवनंद सेन ने बता दिया जो भी प्रेजेंट स्टेटस है, इस तरह से वो चैतन्य महाप्रभु के कितने क्लोज हैं और स्वरूप दामोदर के अंदर वो is chanting the holy name of Krishna day and night and has become the life of all devotees. So he continues, he is completely renounced. Shivananda continued, and he does not care about eating or dressing. He takes some grains from the Jagannath temple, and if no one offers him this in charity, he fasts. तो ये देखो यहाँ पे इम्पोर्टेंट है, एक तो पहले उनको प्रसाद मिल रहा था जो भी, उसको भी उन्होंने 5 दिन के बाद छोड़ दिया। उसके बाद जो वो उनको वो जो प्रसाद वो वहाँ पे टेम्पल में बैठ के मांगते थे, बेगिंग करते थे, उसमें भी उनको फिर प्रॉब्लम हो गया, उसमें भी उनको बुरा लग रहा था कि नहीं ये तो अच्छा नहीं है कि मैं मांग रहा हूँ और ये, तो वो भी उन्होंने क्या बोलते हैं स्टॉप कर दिया था। No one offers him this in charity, he fasts. He is totally dedicated to the service of the Lord. क्योंकि उनको नाम लेना है भगवान का, उसमें बिजी, लाइक टाइम वेस्ट for. So after hearing this, the messenger returned to Govardhan Majumdar. तो मैसेंजर लोग गए गोवर्धन मजूमदार के पास। ऑब्वियसली ये सब सुनने के बाद पेरेंट्स का क्या हाल होगा, वो लोग सुन रहे ये क्या है, क्या कर रहे हैं। Explaining all of the details to Raghunath's father and mother, the messenger could see their anguish. Nonetheless, they had by now understood that they could not change their son's mind. Rather, they decided to send some men with amenities for his comfort. तो इन्होंने सोचा ये तो अभी बदलेगा नहीं, ये तो आएगा नहीं, इसके लिए ढेर सारा पैसा भिजवा देते। So they wanted to begin by sending 400 coins, 2 servants and 1 Brahmin cook to Sivananda Sen, who was to deliver these when he again returned to Puri. So ये सब 400 I think gold coins I think is so yeah, नौकर ब्राह्मण प्रीस्ट सब कुछ साथ में चलो भेज देते हैं। हो गए उधर भजन करने को, चलो ये आराम सारा कुछ फैसिलिटी ये भेज रहे हैं। लेट्स सी क्या। As usual, the next year Shivananda Sen did go to Puri and he brought the gifts from Raghunath Das' parents. At first, Raghunath Das did not touch these treasures, for he saw them as obstacles on the spiritual path. He gradually relented. However, but he only took enough to entertain Sri Chaitanya for 2 days out of every month. उन्होंने सोचा अभी मुझे तो नहीं चाहिए ये सब, मेरे लिए तो ये बाधा है, ऑब्स्टिकल है। उन्होंने सोचा अभी इसका चेतन महाप्रभु को इससे मैं फीस्ट खिलाऊंगा, ऐसा उनके मन में। So for 2 years he continued to accept the gifts for Sri Chaitanya's service and then he abruptly stopped. After not being invited by Raghunath Das for 2 months, Mahaprabhu questioned Sarup Damodar कि अभी इसको क्या हो गया, 2 साल से कर रहा था, अभी क्या हो गया, तो इसके पीछे क्या रीजन आ रहा है, वो आएगा। So together they concluded that Raghunath Das was thinking in the following way: when one eats food offered by a materialist, one's mind becomes contaminated and one is unable to purely think of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted my invitation for the last 2 years out of his causeless mercy, but he would prefer that I give up all connection with wealth and worldly minded people. It was confirmed that this was indeed the thinking of Raghunatha Dasa Goswami. So even मंदिर में भी जो डोनेशन मिलता है, if somebody is so uh, lusty, कामी और obviously materialistic है वो, तो उनका धन यूज कर रहे हैं, जो devotees है, ब्रह्मचारी है, उनको प्रसाद देने में। So sometimes I don't know how exactly they use the fund, but थोड़ा बहुत जो आइडिया है, there some care needs to be taken कि कौन सा पैसा किस तरह से यूज करना है। एटलीस्ट ब्रह्मचारी के लिए यहाँ, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आ रहा है कि ये कि when one eats food offered by a materialist, one's mind becomes contaminated and one is unable to purely think of Krishna. So this is very important. We should be very we should be very क्या बोलते हैं serious about this कि we should not be casual कि कहीं भी हम food ले ले रहे हैं. This is important. तो या उनका जो क्योंकि उनके माता पिता तो मटेरियलिस्ट थे, नॉर्मल पायस कर्मी टाइप ऑफ पीपल, तो उनका वेल्थ भी उनको नहीं चाहिए था, वर्ल्डली माइंडेड पीपल. So feeling that Raghunath Das has, and we can see कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने भी उसको अप्रूव किया, so he was also happy. चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने जो किया, sorry, रघुनाथ दास ने जो. So feeling that Raghunath Das had fully understood his teaching and further appreciating Raghunath's severe sense of renunciation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awarded him a small stone from the sacred Govardhan hill and a garland of small conch shells from Vrindavan. The actual stone from Govardhan Hill can presently be found in Vrindavan Sri Sri Radha Gokulanand Temple. तो ये चैतन्य महाप्रभु के पास एक गोवर्धन हिल का एक स्टोन था, वो हमेशा अपने पास में रखते थे, और एक आई थिंक उसमें तुलसी माला थी, जो भी उसकी वर्ष वो इट वाज वेरी बिकॉज फॉर हिम ऑब्वियसली कृष्णा, तो वो काफी पास में रखते थे. इनफैक्ट ही वुड क्राई, एंड वो जो उनको काफी प्रिय था, वो चीज उन्होंने इनसे इतना खुश हुए रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी के कि इनको इनको दे दिया इन्होंने. और ये जो पर्टिकुलर है, ये जो डीटी है, ये जो स्टोन है गोवर्धन वाली, ये अभी क्या नाम है अपना राधा गोकुलन टेम्पल में ये अभी भी वर्शिप वहाँ है. तो वी कैन सी फ्रॉम चैतन्य महाप्रभु का जो रिएक्शन है यहाँ पे, मतलब उनका जो रेसिप्रोकेशन है, उनसे उससे समझ में आ रहा है कि रघुनाथ दास की जो भी उनकी जो थिंकिंग थी, जो भी उस चीज को उन्होंने काफी अप्रिशिएट किया. Yeah, he's right. So these items were incalculably precious to Sri Chaitanya. He had kept them close to his person continuously for 3 years. The devotees were astonished when he presented these items to Raghunath Das Goswami, and they could thus understand that the Goswami was no ordinary soul. In fact, Raghunath's deep level of Krishna consciousness is revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. स्वादे सत्प्रहर याहि कीर्तन स्मरणे आहार निद्रा छारी दंड देह नाहि कोन दीने. Raghunath thus spent more than 24 hours out of every 24 hours. uh, Raghunath thus spent more than 22 hours out of every 24 hours chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. Oh my God. 20 More than 22 hours out of every 24 hours chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. He ate and slept for less than an hour and a half, and indeed, on some days, even this was compromised. This is insane. He is superhuman. This is not possible to be. 22 hours out of 24 hours, he's chanting. Yeah, any comments, questions till now? Correct.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just hearing the different ecstasies about Raghunath Das Goswami's austerities, his love Definitely that point you mentioned about that he actually deserved it because he had that love for Krishna. And the point is also that when a devotee deserves something, automatically the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals it. So that is one thing to be understood from this. Not to imitate, of course, because 22 hours, it's like insane. Definitely, as you said, it's not possible unless one is already uh, coming from the spiritual world.
Prabhuji can't hear.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ प्रभु जी, आ रही है।
बीच में नहीं आ रही थी क्या?
यस, बीच में।
पता नहीं, मैं कुछ तो किया नहीं था, अचानक से आवाज कैसे गायब हो गया? एनीवे, कहाँ तक मैं क्या बोल रहा था कल? लास्ट कहाँ तक सुना आप लोगों ने? हरे कृष्णा। अभी आ रही है आवाज?
यस प्रभु जी, यस।
हाँ, लास्ट कहाँ तक?
वो जंगल के जगह से भाग गए थे, वो वहां तक।
जंगल से तो बहुत पहले ही भाग गए थे कोई।
तो गार्ड्स ने उनको रोक लिया था वहां तक।
ओके ओके, ठीक है, मैं
वो
कंटिन्यू करता
जब गिफ्ट दिए थे उनको,
हूँ। सॉरी।
when he was presented with some gifts from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I heard from him.
उसके बाद तो ये अपना प्रेमानंद प्रभु भी कुछ बोल रहे थे, उसके बाद फिर मैंने आई थिंक कुछ बोल रहा था मैं वो आई थिंक आप लोगों ने शायद नहीं सुना। मैंने एनीवे ये तो हो, ये देख लिया ना हम, ये जो 22 आवर्स ये तो देख लिया, ये तो सुन लिया था आप लोगों ने।
Yes.
यहाँ पे, हाँ, यहाँ से फिर कंटिन्यू करते हैं। ओके, तो yeah, his austerities increased with the years, and soon he gave up almost all food and drink, living on only a few drops of buttermilk every day. तो नाउ अभी ये कुछ ज्यादा ही लेवल, हाई लेवल पर हो गया है। मतलब ये बस ये कुछ ड्रॉप्स ऑफ बटर मिल्क ले रहे थे हर, छाछ होता है ना अपना, वो थोड़ा सा 2-3 ड्रॉप, पता नहीं कुछ लेते थे। दिन भर कुछ फूड और ड्रिंक सब कुछ छोड़ ही दिया था. Astonished that he was able to maintain his life in this way, devotees came from miles around just to see the great Raghunath Das. तो हमारे लिए ये तो हम लोग यहाँ तो मर ही जाएंगे इस तरह से करेंगे तो. So he was able to sustain. So that also shows that he was not an ordinary personality. आवाज तो आ रही है ना? हरे कृष्ण. Okay. So yeah, he was taking only few drops of buttermilk every day, and he became famous. The devotees from all over the places were coming to see him. So when he saw them approaching, however, he would humbly offer his obeisances to them. And as a result, it is said that he daily offered respect to 2,000 devotees. 2,000 devotees को daily. सब मुझे याद है, कोई तो मुझे बोल रहा था कि वो किसी डेवोटी के साथ था, एंड वो जहाँ भी जा रहे हैं मंदिर में वो दंडवत और प्रणाम कर रहे हैं. माता जी भी ऑब्वियसली पंचांग प्रणाम जो है, हर जगह पंचांग प्रणाम वो कर रही हैं, और वो भी दूसरे को भी बोल रही है कि आप भी आप प्रणाम करो. एंड शी वाज लाइक, अरे यार कितनी बार हर जगह कितना हम ये दंडवत ऑफर करेंगे. लेकिन वी कैन सी कि ये डेली ये क्या बोलते हैं 2,000 लोगों को प्रणाम कर रहे हैं. तो in addition, he daily offered 1,000 offenses to the Lord and chanted at least 100,000 holy names. 100,000 holy names daily, and offered 1,000 obeisances to the Lord. No one could understand the depth or level of his Krishna consciousness. So we sometimes we come up with so many doubts and questions that, I mean, sometimes we doubt पता नहीं ये सब जो कर रहे हैं क्या है नहीं है. So do we think कि somebody can do like this without, I mean, कोई artificially nobody can do that. Krishna is there, his devotee is there, he has that love is there. That's why when somebody is able to do it. Oh, otherwise it's not possible. So we can see the yeah, as it is mentioned here, no one could understand the depth or level of his Krishna consciousness. Who can understand? So due to his intense austerities, he became a great mystique and was known throughout much of India. Sages traveled great distances to get his association. Scholars came from many important centers of learning merely to inquire about scriptural interpretation, and spiritual seekers came from far off places to study under him. So this is again important. ये नहीं है कि बस वो नाम तो ले रहे हैं, obviously devotion है, so it's all on a emotional level ऐसा चल रहा है. But nahi, we are seeing that many sages are coming, scholars are coming, and they are inquiring about scriptural interpretation, and spiritual seekers coming to study under him. I'm just wondering कि वो 22 घंटे नाम ले रहे हैं ये, so how, I don't know whether he's taking break to give them this, I mean, making them understand the scriptural interpretation and all this. So Raghunath Das had stayed in Puri for some 16 years. But anyway, that is also when we are discussing about Krishna, that is also Kirtan. Not that only when we are chanting, that is only when glorifying him, discussing about him. That's all. So Raghunath Das had stayed in Puri for some 16 years when in 1534 Sri Chaitanya departed this mortal world. So ये 16 years इनको चैतन्य महाप्रभु के साथ थे, इनको एसोसिएशन मिला. तो कल जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि किस तरह से ये अंत्य लीला जो है चैतन्य चरितामृत में, उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन जो है, उसका श्रेय जो है रघुनाथ दास को ही जाता है. तो जब चैतन्य महाप्रभु डिपार्ट कर गए, शॉर्टली बिफोर डिपार्टिंग, okay, but shortly before departing, Sri Chaitanya had asked him to go to Vrindavan and work closely with Rupa and Sanatan, who were already there compiling academic studies of Chaitanyite Vaishnavism, unearthing important holy places, and constructing massive temples. तो कुछ समय पहले, कुछ जाने के कुछ दिन पहले ही इन्होंने उनको इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया था वृंदावन जाने को, रूप एंड सनातन को हेल्प करने को, जो कि यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी वो वृंदावन के होली प्लेसेस अनर्थ कर रहे थे, इन एकेडमिक स्टडी में लगे हुए थे, नाना शास्त्र विचार नहीं करने को लगे. So nonetheless, he remained in Puri for 2 or 3 more years. यहाँ पे आता है एक्चुअली, जब चैतन्य महाप्रभु ये धरती से, मतलब यहाँ से चले गए थे, तो स्वरूप दामोदर के बारे में आता है कि वो भी क्या बोलते हैं, वो बर्दाश्त ही नहीं कर पाया उनका, वो जब चले गए थे तो वो भी उसी समय वो भी. और एक्चुअली बोला था चैतन्य महाप्रभु के बारे में कि वो जगन्नाथ की जो डीटी है वहां पे, कृष्णा की जो डीटी है, सॉरी, कौन सा टोटा गोपीनाथ, वहां पे उनके उसमें प्रवेश कर गए थे, वो सब अचानक से गायब हो गए थे. और जो स्वरूप दामोदर है वो भी क्या बोलते हैं, ऐसा बोलते हैं कि वो भी शरीर छोड़ दिया तुरंत, और वो भी वेपर में कन्वर्ट हो गए थे. सॉरी, पूरी बॉडी उनकी गायब हो गई, मतलब जस्ट, और ये स्पॉन्टेनियसली सब कुछ हो गया. और फिर ये, बट रूपनाथ, सॉरी, रघुनाथ दास, इनको नहीं, ये नहीं शरीर छोड़े थे इन्होंने, बट ये इनको, ये भी मतलब चाह रहे थे कि अरे मुझे कुछ नहीं, मतलब मैं कैसे जिंदा हूँ, ये वो भी शरीर छोड़ना चाहते थे, वो भी सुसाइड करना, वो चाह रहे थे कि वृंदावन जाऊंगा और वहां गोवर्धन हिल से कूद के जान दे दूंगा, ऐसा कुछ तो चल रहा था. लेकिन रूप गोस्वामी और सनातन गोस्वामी ने उनको रोका. So he remained in Puri for 2 or 3 more years until the demise of Swarup Damodar, his beloved spiritual master. After this time, when he was almost 40 years old, okay, Swarup Damodar तुरंत नहीं कहते, but he also actually, I think, maybe थोड़ा some. So after this time, when he was almost 40 years old, Raghunath Das left for Vrindavan to assist Rupa and Sanatan in their service, as he was requested by Sri Chaitanya. However, he was so crushed by the untimely death of his two masters, yeah, यहाँ पे आ रहा है, that he decided to take his own life by jumping from Govardhan Hill. Sri Rupa and Sanatan would not let him attempt suicide. Rather, since he had intimate association with Sri Chaitanya, they convinced him to go on living and daily recite the pastime of the Lord. तो ये सोचो कितना बड़ा, मतलब ये 16 साल रहे, और वो जो कुछ वो एक्चुअली वो सारे चीज को नोट करते थे, आई थिंक. तो ही हैड ऑल, वो सारा कुछ उनको याद था, तो उन्होंने बोला कि आप ये एक्चुअली ये दे सकते हो, एंड इट विल बी very beneficial for the future generation, in which we have uh, before us in the form of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So yeah, he had this intimate association, क्योंकि रूपा गोस्वामी और सनातन गोस्वामी, इनको ज्यादा एसोसिएशन नहीं मिला था चैतन्य महाप्रभु का. तो they convinced him to go on living and daily recite the pastimes of the Lord, which he did for 3 hours every day for the rest of his life. 3 घंटे हर एक दिन वो बताते थे, जो पास टाइम्स था चैतन्य महाप्रभु का. So in this way, Rupa and Sanatan used to regularly hear from Raghunath Das about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, among Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, excuse me. So thus, among Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, Raghunath Das' name is inseparably associated with that of Rupa and Sanatan. Inseparably, yeah. Among Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, Raghunath Dasa's name is inseparably associated with that of Rupa and Sanatan, for they had become intimate friends and continued to serve together in Vrindavan until their last days. While Rupa and Sanatan spent most of their time in Vrindavan proper, Raghunath Das went to the town of Govardhan, also in Raj, and there he meditated near the beautiful lake, today known as Radha Kund. तो ये राधा कुंड के पास और गोवर्धन चले गए थे and also he meditated near Radha Kund, an important Vrindavan holy place unearthed by Sri Chaitanya himself. So in due course, Radha Kund became well known among Vaishnavas as the mystical dwelling of Raghunath Das Goswami or Dasa Goswami as he came to be called, and this is where he eventually settled down to live in small hut. He did not always have a hut, however, for when he first arrived, he merely sat down and became absorbed in meditation on the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. तो ये जब क्योंकि इनको तो कोई मतलब था नहीं, he was just absorbed in meditation on Radha and Krishna, chanting Radha and Krishna. तो इन्होंने obviously हट वट तो बनाया नहीं था, बट उसके पीछे हट बनाने के पीछे भी स्टोरी है यहाँ पे, ये मे भी शायद आप लोगों ने सुना होगा. So this popular story of Das Goswami's initial stay near Radha Kund without any protection is now immortalized. Bhakti Ratnakar relates this episode. Once, while the Goswami was absorbed in meditation, a tiger and tigress came and started to drink water from Shyamakund, which is right next to Radhakund. Although Das Goswami was himself unconcerned about the ferocious tigers, Lord Krishna descended and kept guard in the vicinity, for he did not want the Goswami to be disturbed in meditation, and further, he did not want to see the Goswami's life at rest. At that time, Sanatan Goswami happened along and saw all that was transpiring. After the two tigers and Lord Krishna had both left, Sri Sanatan approached Das Goswami, insisting that he build that hut so the Lord would not have to personally come for his protection. But Das Goswami was only concerned with his meditation and he did not take Sanatan's advice very seriously. तो यहाँ पे ये मेडिटेशन कर रहे हैं, अपना चैंटिंग चल रहा है इनका, और वहां पे टाइगर और टाइग्रेस आए, तो भगवान कृष्ण मतलब कृष्ण खुद आके इनको गार्ड कर रहे हैं कि वो उनको डिस्टर्ब ना करे, इनका लाइफ रिस्क पे आ जाएगा, ये वो खुद आके गार्ड कर रहे हैं. और 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 सनातन गोस्वामी ही हैपेंड टू पास बाय दैट प्लेस एंड ही वो उन्होंने देखा कि क्या चल रहा है, एंड ही वाज लाइक ये पागल हो गया है, ये भगवान से भी सेवा ले रहा है, हम भगवान की सेवा करेंगे कि भगवान से सेवा लेंगे. तो उनको बोला कि भाई तुम थोड़ा हट बनवा लो, और ये क्या भगवान आके, तो उन्होंने लेकिन फिर भी वो थोड़े से कंसर्न नहीं थे, ही वाज जस्ट कंसर्न विद हिज मेडिटेशन, उन्होंने ज़्यादा सीरियसली नहीं. बट देन फिर कुछ दिन बाद फिर क्या होता है, एज टाइम पास however a similar incident occurred, one which Raghunath Das could not ignore. As he sat absorbed in meditation, the devotees became worried for his life as he spent hour after hour not moving in the blazing midday sun. तो धूप में बैठे हुए हैं, नाम ले रहे, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ, at that time it is said Radha Rani herself came to that spot, standing behind her great devotee Raghu, and she used her covering cloth to shield him from the hot rays of the sun. तो राधा रानी खुद आके उनको छांव दे रही है, शेड दे रही है अपने कपड़े से कि उसको डिस्टर्बेंस ना हो. और उनको खुद क्या बोलते हैं, शी वाज उनका खुद पसीना निकल रहा है धूप में. So in due course, Sanatan Goswami again happened upon the scene and noticed that Srimati Radharani was perspiring while trying to protect her faithful devotee. Her clothes were fully drenched in her transcendental sweat while she performed the loving austerity on behalf of Raghunath Das. Turning to Sanatan, Srimati Radharani smiled and then left. Taking it as his solemn duty, Sanatan Goswami went directly to Raghunath Das and chastised him for causing this unnecessarily inconvenience to the Lord's divine consort. It was after this incident that Dasa Goswami constructed a small cottage, just so Radhika, in her love for him, would not have to take the trouble of sheltering him from the intense heat of the direct sunshine. This, in fact, was the beginning of the kutir system, wherein sadhus would have little huts built for them in which they could pursue their lengthy meditation. तो राधा रानी अभी अभी राधा रानी के बारे में सुन के उनको बोला नहीं भाई ये अब मतलब नाउ ही गॉट सीरियस कि नहीं अभी ये चीज इतना बड़ा एक तो जैसे मैंने बोला था कि वो प्रयोजन आचार्य वी आर ही इज टेलिंग दैट वी आर राधा दास्यम we are servant of and servant of the servant of because Radharani is the greatest servant and we are serving the servant. So he cannot take service from Radha. So he built Kutir. And यहाँ पे ये भी आ रहा है कि this was kind of beginning of the Kutir system. So we can just imagine कि राधा रानी खुद आके उनको protect कर रही है and she is herself fully drenched with sweat. So this, the supernatural pastime of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami at Radha Kund have become almost legendary, and each episode is pregnant with spiritual instruction. The above stories, for example, are meant to illustrate Das Goswami's lack of concern for his own material well-being and his constant concomitant absorption in Krishna consciousness. Moreover, these stories show that both Radha and Krishna felt indebted by the devotion of Raghunath Das Goswami. How Krishna and Radharani, how they also reciprocate with devotees, that is also coming here. वो भी हमको दिख रहा है. And obviously उनका तो दिख ही रहा है रघुनाथ दास कुछ. Finally, it shows Das Goswami's special concern for Sri Radhika. Another famous pastime at Radha Kund involves Das Goswami's concern for the sanctity of the lake itself. Disturbed that devotees had to wash their clothes and pots in her holy waters, Raghunath Das decided to dig a well for these purposes. But while the devotees were digging, they hit something that started to bleed. Uh, Raghunath Das, fearing that he had committed some offense, insisted that the workers stop their digging. That night, it was revealed to Das Goswami that the workers had hit the tongue of Govardhan. Oh, and the Goswami erected a shrine in its honor that is still worshipped to this day. Hmm. His standard of enhanced spirituality and renunciation developed more and more, culminating in complete celestial absorption. Raghunath Das Goswami showed by word and deed that the capabilities of the body could be extended by the desire of the soul. This is important. The capabilities of the body could be extended by the desire of the soul. He transcended his bodily necessities to the point where they were no longer an obstacle in his spiritual life. From this great saint, then we may learn the valuable lesson of sensual control, not for a show of physical prowess, but for the ultimate end of love of God. तो ये इम्पोर्टेंट है यहाँ पे. We are not learning from him just renunciation ki हाँ just to say ki how much we can renounce. But the point is that the love is there and that love of God is there. That is what actually driving this control. I mean, it's automatically you are achieving. So that is the goal, not that we have to achieve that level of renunciation itself. Otherwise, that is of no use. That love is not. So ultimate end of love of God, not for a physical show of physical flowers. So how much is left? I think it ends here. ओके, या आई थिंक एक पैराग्राफ, ये तो नोट्स है। ओके, ठीक है, एक ही पैराग्राफ। So today at Radha Kund stands Das Goswami Samadhi, his burial place, and pilgrims from all over the world go to pay homage to this greatest among spiritual teachers. His words are still recited by spiritual visionaries as they were compiled by his immediate followers. So unki teachings already we have in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in other books also. So as in his own lifetime, रघुनाथ दास composed deeply profound verses और उन्होंने मना शिक्षा वगैरह दी थी, स्तव माला। हाँ, ये आ रहा है यहाँ पे। Raghunath Das composed deeply profound verses in both poetry and prose concerning the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. These were compiled into 3 volumes. The Stav Mala, Stav means poetry, I think. Dan Charitra or Dan Keli Chintamani and Mukta Charitra. But beyond his literary achievements, he is best remembered as the very emblem of renunciation. The Chaitanya Charitamrita confirms Raghunath Das Goswami was totally uninterested in material enjoyment, even from his childhood. It is no wonder, therefore, that he is known as the Prayojana Acharya, or he who teaches by his own example about the ultimate goal of life. So this ends about reading about Raghunath Das Goswami. I hope you all enjoyed, not only enjoyed, you must have been inspired. Okay. So any question, comments?